Carlos, at this level, nothing comes easy. I mean, Yannick, full credit to him. He played an incredible first set there.
Yeah, he was... I knew he was going to play great. I mean, I know his level. I played a few times already. We came, through the challenges together. I played in challenges against him. So it was. But to be honest, it was tougher than I thought at the beginning. I mean, I didn't feel the ball that good, or not as good as he wanted. But the ball was coming as a bomb. Like forehand, backhand, serve. So I had to be ready for those shots. But really happy that I get through a really difficult first set.
Carlos Alcaraz just won his second-round match at the Australian Open against Yannick Hanfmann, and what he said afterward has everyone talking. He didn't sugarcoat anything about how difficult the match was, called out people who think rankings tell the whole story, and casually mentioned playing golf with Roger Federer. The honesty and confidence are next level, and tennis fans are eating it up.
And then I started to feel a little bit better in the on the court with my shots. Tactically I think I played much better. So just happy to have played the really good level at the end of the match and get through in another row.
Quick question before we break this down. Do you respect athletes more when they're brutally honest about struggles during matches? Or do you prefer when they act like everything was easy and under control? Drop your thoughts below because Carlos just gave us a masterclass in authentic confidence. Carlos Alcaraz just beat Yannick Hanfmann 7-6, 6-3, 6-2 in the second round of the Australian Open, and his post-match interview was refreshingly honest in a way that most top players avoid. He didn't do the standard, "I played my game and executed my strategy" routine. Instead, he basically admitted the match was way harder than he expected, and that rankings don't tell you anything about how difficult a match will actually be.
I look at the tail of the tape. You're 1, he's 102. But every match you play, there's questions asked of you. The other night you played Adam Walton. The heat of the day was gone. It was in the evening. It was quite cool. Adam doesn't supply you with a lot of pace. You come out here today, bright sunshine. It's breezy on court. And as you said, he's hitting you with a lot of firepower. I mean, every match, I think we take for granted, but it's not that easy, is it?
No, I mean, probably a lot of people is just watching the rankings, and I'm number 1, and I'm gonna play against the 100. But the people thinks that this is gonna be an easy match, but it isn't. To be honest, every match is different. Every match, the style of the player is quite different. There are some players that his level suits pretty well to yours, and then you feel really comfortable. And then there are others that you feel really uncomfortable on the court, which probably Jannik has a kind of a style that I'm not really comfortable on the court. So that why it wasn't really easy today.
Let's start with what he said about the match itself. The interviewer gave him credit for getting through a tough first set where Hanfmann was hitting bombs from both sides and serving incredibly well. Carlos's response was perfect. He said people look at the rankings, number 1 versus number 102, and assume it's going to be an easy match. But it isn't. Every match is different. Every player has a different style, and some styles just make you uncomfortable on court. That's a level of self-awareness and honesty you don't usually get from top players. Most of them would just say something generic about respecting every opponent and executing their game plan. Carlos straight up admitted that Hanfmann's style made him uncomfortable and that the match was tougher than he thought it would be at the beginning. He also said he didn't feel the ball as well as he wanted to in the first set. The ball was coming as a bomb from Hanfmann's racket, forehand, backhand, serve, and Carlos had to be ready for those shots. That first set took 78 minutes and went to a tiebreak, which tells you how competitive it actually was despite what the final scoreline might suggest. This is important context because casual tennis fans often look at straight-set victories and assume the match was one-sided. But Carlos is making it clear that even though he won in 3 sets, the first set was a battle. He had to grind through it, figure out adjustments, and then finally started feeling better with his shots in the second and third sets. The interviewer made a great point about how every match presents different questions. Against Adam Walton in the first round, Carlos played in the evening when it was cool, and Walton doesn't hit with a lot of pace. Against Hanfmann, it was bright sunshine, breezy conditions, and massive firepower coming at him from the other side. Carlos acknowledged all of this and said, "Every match requires different adjustments." Then he dropped this gem. "I thought it was going to be like cloudy, but the sun came out. Thanks God, to be honest." That's such a casual, confident thing to say. He prefers playing in the sun and heat, even though it's more physically demanding, because it suits his style better. That's the mindset of someone who's completely comfortable in his own skin and knows his game well enough to understand what conditions help him. The honesty continued when he talked about why some opponents are more difficult than others regardless of ranking. He specifically said Hanfmann has a style that doesn't suit him well, which made him feel uncomfortable on court. That's a vulnerable admission from the #1 player in the world. He's not pretending every opponent is the same or that rankings determine difficulty. He's acknowledging that matchups matter and some players just present stylistic problems.
You talk about time. Everybody wants time on a tennis court, but at a Grand Slam, you have every second day off. There is time. Now, I just want to ask you, Melbourne is well known for its golf courses. Have you had a chance to get out and experience some of them?
I have played already, so yeah. We cannot waste time to play some golf. So, but yeah, I mean, we're trying to make the most of the days off, practicing a little bit. If we're able to do it with the body allow us to practice in those day off. So I don't know what's coming tomorrow. To be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna practice. I gotta talk with my team. Probably I'm gonna practice a little bit because I really want to be better on the next round, but the golf courses are waiting for me, and I know that. So, and I will show up for sure.
This is exactly the kind of authenticity that makes Carlos so popular with fans. He's not doing the robotic press conference answers that so many top athletes give. He's actually explaining his thought process, his challenges, and how he worked through them. That makes him relatable, even though he's operating at a level 99.9% of people will never reach. Then, the interview took a hilarious turn when they started talking about golf. The interviewer asked if Carlos had been taking advantage of Melbourne's famous golf courses during his days off. Carlos said absolutely, they can't waste time not playing golf. He's trying to balance practice with rest and recovery, but the golf courses are waiting for him, and he'll definitely get out there.
Who did you play golf with the other day?
I got the...
It's an easy question. Who did you play golf?
No, I got the luck to. I was lucky to play with Roger.
Okay, so that's Roger Federer. Now I want a one-word answer. One-word answer. How is Roger's golf game?
As beautiful as the tennis.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm not surprised neither. So it's unbelievable. Everything he does in a style really beautiful. I mean, the golf course is really beautiful swing. He plays really good. I think he's been playing for 2 years now, and his level is really good for 2 years. I've been playing 5, and he already beat me. So it hurts. Yeah.
But the real story came when the interviewer asked who he played golf with. Carlos paused for a second like he wasn't sure if he should name drop, then said he was lucky enough to play with Roger Federer, just casually playing golf with one of the greatest tennis players of all time during the Australian Open. The interviewer then asked for a one-word answer about Roger's golf game. Carlos gave way more than one word, saying it's as beautiful as the tennis. He went on to explain that everything Roger does, he does with style and beauty. His golf swing is gorgeous, and he plays really well for someone who's only been playing for 2 years. Then, Carlos dropped the kicker. I've been playing 5 years and he already beat me. You could hear the mock pain in his voice as he said it hurts, that Roger picked up golf 2 years ago and is already better than him. The crowd loved it, and it perfectly captured the competitive nature that makes Carlos who he is. Even in a casual golf round with a retired legend, he's keeping score and caring about the result. This whole exchange was perfect because it showed a different side of Carlos. He's friends with Roger Federer. They're hanging out and playing golf together during Grand Slams. Carlos is comfortable enough to joke about losing and to compliment Roger's game without any ego or insecurity. That's the confidence of someone who knows exactly who he is and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. But let's get back to the tennis, because that's what matters most. Carlos is now 22-0 at Grand Slam events against opponents ranked outside the top 100. 12 of those wins came in straight sets. That's an absurd stat that demonstrates how good he is at taking care of business against players he should beat. Even when the match is difficult, like today against Hanfmann, he finds a way to win. His first-round record at Grand Slams is now 23-4. That means out of 27 first-round matches at majors, he's won 23 of them. That's an 85% win rate in opening rounds where upsets are most likely to happen. He doesn't stumble early. He doesn't overlook opponents. He shows up and does the work required to advance. Next up for Carlos is Corentin Moutet, a talented Frenchman who presents a completely different challenge. Moutet is unorthodox, crafty, and capable of making opponents uncomfortable with his variety and shot selection. It's exactly the kind of matchup Carlos was talking about, where style matters more than ranking. But based on what Carlos said in his press conference, he's aware of these dynamics. He knows every opponent presents unique problems. He knows adjustments are necessary, and he knows that even when he doesn't feel great early in matches, he has the experience and quality to work through it and raise his level when needed. That maturity is what separates good players from great ones. Carlos is 22 years old and already operating with the self-awareness and tactical understanding of someone who's been on tour for a decade. He can articulate what's working, what isn't, and why certain opponents make him uncomfortable. That level of insight into his own game is rare for someone so young. The comment about people thinking matches will be easy based on rankings really resonated because it's true across all sports. Casual fans look at numbers and assume outcomes, but the reality is always more complicated. Styles make fights in boxing. Matchups matter in football. And in tennis, someone ranked 102 can absolutely make the #1 player work incredibly hard if their style creates problems. Carlos gets that. He respects that. And he's not afraid to say it publicly. That's leadership. That's the mentality of someone who's going to be at the top of the sport for a long time because he's constantly learning and adjusting rather than assuming talent alone is enough. The physical demands of the match were also real. It was hot, breezy, and the first set alone took 78 minutes. That's exhausting, especially when you're dealing with someone hitting bombs from both sides like Hanfmann was. Carlos had to be prepared for pace on every shot, which requires constant alertness and quick reaction time. But he worked through it. He raised his level in the second set, got more comfortable with conditions, and found his rhythm. By the third set, he was dominant. That's what champions do. They figure things out mid-match and then impose their will once they've made necessary adjustments. Looking ahead, Carlos is trying to complete the career Grand Slam by winning the Australian Open. He's won the US Open, Wimbledon twice, and the French Open. Melbourne is the only major missing from his resume. At 22 years old, he's already accomplished more than most players do in entire careers. But this specific goal clearly matters to him. The path won't be easy. The draw has dangerous players throughout, and as he said himself, rankings don't tell the whole story. Every match requires focus and adjustment. But if Carlos keeps showing the same level of self-awareness and willingness to grind through difficult moments, he's got as good a chance as anyone to win this tournament. The Roger Federer golf story is also worth circling back to because it illustrates something important about Carlos's personality. He's starstruck enough to be honored playing golf with Roger, but confident enough to joke about losing and to genuinely analyze Roger's game. That balance of humility and confidence is what makes him so likable. And the fact that he's prioritizing some fun and relaxation during a Grand Slam rather than just grinding practice 24/7 shows maturity. He understands that staying fresh mentally and physically requires balance. Golf with Roger Federer sounds like a pretty good way to decompress while still doing something competitive and engaging. The interviewer's final comment was perfect. Carlos, you have a style all of your own. I know we are all enjoying it here in Australia, because that's exactly right. Carlos has carved out his own identity in tennis. He's not trying to be the next Federer or Nadal or Djokovic. He's being the first Carlos Alcaraz, and that authenticity is what makes him special. Carlos Alcaraz just gave us the most honest post-match interview of the Australian Open, admitting matches are way harder than rankings suggest, and casually mentioning he plays golf with Roger Federer. This is what authentic confidence looks like. No fake humility, no robotic answers, just real talk from someone who knows exactly who he is. Hit that like button and subscribe for more tennis analysis that respects honest athletes.